Hello and welcome to Thought for the Day from St Peter's Bexhill. And we move on to another story, this time called The Men Who Like to Say No. One day, King Nebuchadnezzar's herald announced, "All wise men and governors must go to the plain of Dura. The king has a surprise for you." When the wise men got there, they found the biggest statue they had ever seen. And at its feet was the biggest band they had ever seen. "At the sound of the trumpet, the horn, the bagpipe and the harp, you must all bow down and worship this golden statue," the herald shouted. "Anyone who disobeys will be thrown into a flaming fiery furnace." The band began to play, and everyone worshipped the statue. Well, almost everyone. For there were three men who did not bow down and worship: Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, all grown up now, the men who liked to say no. When King Nebuchadnezzar saw them, he was very angry. "Who dares defy my order?" he growled. "Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego," some men said, men who didn't like foreigners from Jerusalem having such important jobs. "Bring them to me at once," growled Nebuchadnezzar. So the men who liked to say no were dragged before the king. "You heard the order," growled Nebuchadnezzar, "and you did not obey. Will you worship the statue now?" "No," said Shadrach, "we will not worship your statue. Our God has told us that this would be wrong." "No," said Meshach, "and we will not forget our God or the land he gave us, the land from which we were taken." "No," said Abednego, "and our God will not forget us." "Then off to the furnace," growled the king. "Make it 7 times hotter than it's been before, and tie them up so they can't escape." So the men who liked to say no were thrown into the furnace. Its flames were so hot that the men who threw them in were burned up in an instant. But things were different for the 3 friends. They weren't burning, they weren't sweating, and they weren't alone. There beside them stood an angel, flickering like the furnace flames. He touched a finger to the ropes that bound them, and they burned right through. But there wasn't even a blister on the skin of Shadrach, Meshach, or Abednego. "God is with you," the angel whispered. "You have nothing to fear." Now Nebuchadnezzar's lips were no longer twisted in an angry snarl. No, they hung open and limp with amazement. "We threw 3 men into the furnace," he said, "but look, there are 4 men in there now." The herald crept closer and said, "It must be an angel, sent by the God those men refuse to forget. If so, he is a very powerful God, for they are unharmed." Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet and ordered Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego to come out. Everyone gathered around them to have a closer look. And then the king said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, the one God. They did not forget him, and he did not forget them. I therefore command that no one shall say anything bad about this God. And what is more, I shall give Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego even more important jobs in my kingdom." Then he looked at the 3 friends. "Surely," he grinned, "you can say yes to that." The 3 friends looked at each other. Then together they looked at the king and they answered, "No problem." Amen.